out. I'm Ashley Nicole Moss. If you are listening on SiriusXM Faction Talk 103, hello, hi, thank you, welcome. And if you're watching on YouTube, hi, I know you guys missed us yesterday. They were probably like, where in the world is Brandon Marshall? Where in the world is B-Flow? Well, listen, if you were wondering where they are, you need not worry anymore because they're right here. Say hi, guys.
Hey.
Yo.
Y'all walked in.
I wasn't.
You weren't feeling that one,
I wasn't
Ash?
feeling the energy.
Yo!
Yeah, you're. Listen, everyone is back in studio. As you guys know, Brandon was out and about in Chicago for the first leg of the I Am Iconic tour.
Still recovering.
B-Flow was in a darkness retreat somewhere, fasting,
I don't know where bro
getting
was.
closer to God. Whatever he does in his off time, saving crime, things like that. We're still trying to figure out what B-Flow does when he's not here.
Told you, it's two things.
He doesn't answer his phone.
Both ends of the
I don't
spectrum.
answer my
He
phone.
doesn't really answer his texts, his phone calls. So
He either in the
we don't
hood or the
really
hills.
know. He's either a superhero or a supervillain. The jury is still out. Listen, guys, a lot went down yesterday in the world of sports, from the NBA all the way to the NFL and everything in between. Some decisions were made between two NFC East rivals. A certain player is headed to one team versus another. We'll discuss whether he made the right decision. We'll discuss it, whether he made the right decision or not. But let's get into some Tuesday headlines. B-Flow, what you got for us?
Why did Shaq choose the Eagles over the Cowboys? Cowboys hot right now.
Not everybody has taste, B-Flow.
Right.
Not everybody has taste. Some people, like beer, and some people drink champagne,
Right. You know who's drinking champagne right now?
Who?
Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy. Hey, listen.
I told you he was a top 5.
Did you put him in your top 5?
Originally.
You did?
And then
At
he
the
took him
beginning of
out.
the season.
Oh, that's dope. Why'd you take it? Oh, so I was going to talk about people like you. You in that same category with all that people on ESPN and FS1.
I am.
Just 4 weeks ago, was it? 4 weeks ago. Brock Purdy is a bust. He can't do it without this guy or that guy. And now all of a sudden, Mr. Irrelevant, I think he's favored to win the MVP right now.
Which is crazy considering how many
go.
quarterbacks and other offensive players are absolutely cooking right now. But we'll talk about that. And listen, the in-season tournament is among us, and it is the knockout round. Last night, 2 teams were knocked out, and tonight, Giannis and LeBron are playing. Will they make it to Vegas, or will they spin the block and go back home, Brandon?
Oh, so you want to talk about the in-season tournament?
It's in the rundown.
Oh, no. But you could have taken it out the rundown. Ashley was doing all that
It's
talking.
my headline. I have to say it.
You were doing all that talking.
We'll discuss it, and I may or may not owe Adam Silver an apology.
Yeah.
We'll see. But before, and we also have a special guest joining us in a little bit for our Pepsi Zero Sugar NFL Rookie of the Week segment. But before we talk about that and talk to our special guest, welcoming him on the show, let's talk Shaq. And I ain't talking Shaquille O'Neal, all right? We start with the biggest game of week 14, and that is the Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys as they battle it out for the top spot in the NFC East. And it all goes down in Jerry's World, Sunday Night Football. And Shaq Leonard was a name that was thrown around these past few weeks as a guy who could either be representing one of those two teams come Sunday night. Well, Shaq was deciding between Dallas and Philly. He visited Dallas, apparently had a great visit, but left with no deal. And then we saw him being picked up by now infamous security of the Philadelphia Eagles, Big Dom, as they like to call him, in the Philadelphia airport. Well, it looks like Shaq has finally made his decision. He's going to Philly. Like I said, not everybody has taste. B-Flow, why do you think Shaq went with the Philadelphia Eagles?
You know, when players go on visits, right, a lot of it goes to making your decision what culture you feel like you can be best part of, right? What locker room you can see yourself in. When you go to Philly, you see Nick Sirianni, he on the sideline, he fired. You see A.J. Brown with the swag at receiver, you know. You see Jalen Hurts at quarterback. It's like Philly feels like a fun team to be a part of, right? The vibe, the city. They wear the all black at home. They go play Meek Mill running out. Like, it's a whole vibe.
Right.
You know, even his toughness, the way he play, it has that Philly vibe about him.
That's right.
Saying?
The Cowboys is more private school, right? Like, they got good players. They go stay in the Ritz-Carlton. It's nice.
Truth.
It's 5-star.
Have you been to Dallas? Dallas is fun.
It is fun.
Dallas is a
fun.
vibe.
New York
It
is
is
fun too, but the
Dallas
Giants
is
is private school and the Jets is public school.
Dallas is a
Yeah.
vibe. There's no state tax in Texas,
I
so you
get
keep
all
a
that.
whole lot of your paycheck. You get a whole lot of bang for
State
your
of the
buck.
art facilities,
Jerry
everything.
takes care of his guys. There's a reason it's the most valuable franchise in the NFL. Have you been in the Dallas Cowboy locker room? They
I
got
haven't,
lazy
but I
boys.
can only but
Like,
that's cool.
They got
But
lazy boys and flat screen TVs.
when you make your decision, it's all about who I rock with, like what coaching staff. Like, I can feel myself just riding with on that field.
Well, where is he from? Is he from the Northeast?
I have no idea where he's from.
Can we look up where he's from? I feel like he strikes me as a guy who's from the tri-state in some shape or form.
Look at him. He don't
Let's
look
go
like
ahead
he
and- I'ma look
Philly.
this
He
up.
don't look like a Philly vibe.
He looks like he's from the tri-state. I know a tri-state guy when I see one. Let me see where he's from. He is from. Oh no. He was born in South Carolina, but
Southern. He's a Southern boy.
so he's a
Country boy.
Interesting.
Country boy.
And even with his play, right? He's a linebacker that comes downhill.
he's a country boy who chose Philly over
Yeah,
Dallas?
he got big Jordan Davis on the D line, all them big boys that's gonna take up them offensive linemen where he can just shoot the
Interesting.
gap. It fit him.
Right.
I see that Philly fits his game, his style of play, the locker room, the coaches. I mean, you're not choosing between Philly and Arizona. It's two tough choices, but
Right.
I can see him rocking in Philly. That fit him.
Brandon, you said something that was interesting when Shaq was going to go ahead and pay a visit to both Dallas and Philly. You said that the issue with him in Indianapolis was that maybe he's past the linebacker he once was, but wants to still be paid by one and paid like one and played like one.
right.
And that was the contention between him and the Colts. And you said that could be a problem with him in Dallas, where they don't see him as a number one guy.
Yeah.
And then that would go ahead and determine how he was treated in terms of pay and things like that. Do you think that maybe Philly has a different mindset when it comes to the player that he is, and that ultimately led to his decision to go with this team versus the other?
Yeah, I threw out a few things that he could be potentially, working through, right? And those are some of the things that you think about in this position. It's like, some guys still want to get paid. I'm not saying that's him, at a high level. Some guys want to still go out there and play all 3 downs, all 4 downs. Some guys may be okay with just being a situational football player. So you never know. But what happens is when you go on those visits, you sit down, and the Cowboys strike me as one of these organizations that keep it real. He was real with Odell Beckham Jr. as well, and then others in the past. So he probably didn't hear what he liked, right? And then he goes to Philly, and BU are 100% correct. It's so funny, and this is not scripted. B and Ashley just walked in the studio 10 minutes before. I text one of our trainers at our Tampa location, right? So Shaq's been training with Yo Murphy for years, and I text one of our trainers there. I'm like, yo, pray all is well. Question, why did Shaq pick Eagles over Cowboys? And literally said what you said, the first 2 things that you said. He said, he never said directly, but from hearing him talk, he really liked the culture. That was the first thing you said. And the second thing was, you said Nick Sirianni and the head coach, right? Yo, I don't know exactly why he picked, but B, for you to come in and just say that, that's really close. It's close.
I could see it though. Like I'm making a joke. Not everybody likes champagne. Some people like beer, but the Eagles are a young team. They have that, swagger about them, that young swagger, much to your point, B-Flow. The Dallas Cowboys are an institution, and there's different rules and standards that you're held to when you have the star on your helmet. Whereas, I can see the comparison between public and private school. It's just more polished in Dallas. Certain things don't fly in Dallas. You're held to a different standard in Dallas, and that just comes with the reputation of the Dallas Cowboys, the eyes on the Dallas Cowboys, the standard to which they're held, in terms of just off the field, on the field, you represent the star and then you represent yourself. Whereas I think Philly is a little bit more conducive to individuality than Dallas is, and maybe that's kind of where he is at this stage in his career. I can see that.
You think Philly got a more individuality vibe?
I think that Philly celebrates the individualism of their players more than Dallas does. I think in Dallas it's star first, player second. And I don't say that to be like you can't be yourself in Dallas, but I think that it's what's for the betterment of the Dallas Cowboys first, and then you can go ahead and showcase your personality after that. I think that it's always Cowboys first and everything else second. In Philly, I feel like they don't have that same kind of a stand. Remember, this is a team that just won a Super Bowl a few years ago. They've never been held to a certain standard that I feel like the Cowboys have always been held to, whether people want to admit to it or not.
With that standard, though, I think that comes from Jerry, right? Not the players.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think in Philly, it's team first, but it comes from the locker room.
Right.
Like you can see how they purposely drafted all those boys from Georgia so they go rock together regardless.
Right.
You see how A.J. Brown went on just standing on the desk for Jalen Hurts to get paid. Like they look out for each other. Like I love my brother, right? So I think they put team above everything, but it comes from within the locker room.
Well, that's why I say individualism, because I feel like the individualism in that locker room is celebrated, and that's what formulates the team. Whereas in Dallas, it's the star, the standard of the star, the reputation of the Dallas Cowboys, the enamor of the Dallas Cowboys that trickles down to the players. In Philly, it's reverse. That locker room and the culture of that locker room creates the culture of the team. In Dallas, I feel like it's the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I'll say here is like Shaq being a veteran guy, coming back from injury. He's back, but he's still dealing with, that's what the report said, still dealing with some nerve issues. And I'm not sure where he's at there. But remember, the Colts, they had him coming in. They had him in packages B, where he's coming in on third down and, he's rotating, and he wanted to be out there more. And so when you go through this phase, when you're on the street, we call it being on the street, you get cut, now you're on the street, and you got teams calling you. You go through that process, and there's so many things that can come up, and you're just looking for the right fit. And when you look at it, it's easy for us to pick. Like if I'm him, I'm like I go with the Eagles because the Eagles already beat the Cowboys, right? The Eagles was just there last year. The Eagles, what are they, 10-2? It's like, I'm going to a Super Bowl this year. I'm the linebacker position. This B is so much easier when you got those big dogs up front. Yeah. You talk about playoff ball. Actually, their teams is going to be running the football. So when you have those hogs up front in front of you, it's easier at the linebacker position. So he may be looking at, I'm going to be able to go out there and ball, put up numbers. I like what they're talking about from a package standpoint, how they're going to integrate me into this defense. And then also they're like Super Bowl. But, man, this may backfire in Shaq's face. Because I'm telling you, man, like we saw last night, we'll talk about it, right? Like the Jaguars lose, right? It's like the parody in the NFL. We don't know what the hell's going to happen come January. And the Cowboys, man, they play this weekend, right?
Yeah, Eagles Cowboys.
Oh my goodness. So he might be after the game. He might be like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Right after the game, Sunday Night Football, 11:30 p.m. Eastern. He might be like, damn, I made the wrong decision. You think so?
But before you weren't on the show yesterday, so I want to get your opinion. The San Francisco Eagles game. You've been saying it all week leading up to the game that San Francisco could beat this Philadelphia Eagles team, and they didn't just beat them; they blew them out. What were the biggest things?
I would like to hear that soundbite. Did he say that?
He did say that.
You sure?
My memory is like an elephant. He did say that.
All week.
Okay.
I wonder for you, what was the biggest thing that game exposed about the Philadelphia Eagles, and what was the biggest thing that game heightened about the 49ers?
It's all about matchups, right? Week to week. When Philly dominates, when Philly defense dominates, it's when people try to overcome them with power, running straight at them, just trying to move Jordan Davis out of the way. You're not going to beat them like that. That's not what San Fran does. All that beef that Philly has on their D-line, they have them running side to side. They throwing screens on the outside. They doing misdirection. So they're not even worrying about penetrating anymore, and they getting tired throughout the game just running sideline to sideline. And once you hit one little gash with McCaffrey, it's just like you get to the second level so quick. And being that they do have Slay and Bradbury who's playing man-to-man on the outside, nobody's looking at the ball. They all got their backs turned. So once you hit a gap, like McCaffrey go run for a little bit. So when Philly plays a team like the 49ers that run side to side and get their best players the ball in space, they're going to struggle. Every time.
Phenomenal game plan by Shanahan, but also a phenomenal performance by that guy, Deebo Samuels, bro. Like
I told you he was going to have a great game.
Deebo
like I
knows.
told you.
Christian
I said
McCaffrey had one
Deebo's
hell of a
going
game
to eat.
too, though.
I know, but like that dude went out there, talked all that trash, and then backed it up, bro. Like you couldn't ask for a better outing as a player. Like when you go out there and you talk like that, because here's the other thing: if Brock Purdy has a bad game, if Kyle Shanahan has a bad game, but you have a good game and you open, but you don't do that, you still look like the fool. But this dude goes out there, say all that B, and then he has that type of 3 touchdowns. Where you basically you're saying you weren't surprised.
Nah, this not a good matchup for Philly. Like this is a matchup that they will struggle with. This is the only team that can make Philly look like this.
Bro,
anybody else, Philly will take it too. I'm telling you,
to me, there was no team in the National Football League make what was it, 42-19, Ashley?
Yeah, I mean,
That's
me,
crazy.
They'll do that every time.
For me, watching the 49ers, and this was something, watching the 49ers and not only watching them in this Eagles game, but also in the game against Dallas, I mean, I drastically miss prime Ezekiel Elliott. Because watching Christian McCaffrey run through those holes reminds me of the glory days of the run-first offense of the Dallas Cowboys. When Zeke was in his prime, that was us. Yeah. And the issue was we could never get the defense at the time to align with that offense. Had we had the defense we have now... No. What makes me sad about this is because it almost seems like you can never get two at the same time, right? Because I was watching this game and all I kept saying was like, that's what Dallas is missing. That. Yeah. Like we don't have that anymore. Like we had it. Oh, but you're talking. Okay. But we didn't have the defense. Like.
But do you think? Let me ask you this.
And now we have the defense, and that's the piece that we're missing. When I watch the Dallas Cowboys. Yes.
I don't think you need it.
Yes, you always need a heavy, like in this league, a heavy run game, the way you can break down a defensive line, like they were breaking them down every single play, every single possession. That's the piece that Dallas is missing.
It's like basketball. Just like we talked about last year. When I'm talking about when you got 3 shooters, 3 scorers, and you don't got no defense, just score, baby. Just score. Dak Prescott.
That's not how that works.
That's what it is. Ashley, I hear what you're saying. No. That's old school tradition. See, Ashley grew up like she old school. But and look,
just a fraction. I feel like even a fraction of that. If we had a fraction of that, because I don't.
You got Dak Prescott. He's balling. He might be the MVP.
But I have an issue with relying so heavily on the pass game because there's so many things that can go wrong. Right. A solid run game, a real, just lethal run game can mask so many issues throughout a course of a game. And if your quarterback's having an off game, if your wide receivers and your quarterback aren't on the same tandem that game, a run game, a really lethal one, will keep you in so many games and win you so many games. And watching that 49ers game, that's what the Dallas, that's the piece. Because when I watch the Dallas Cowboys, you have, your tandem of Vaughn and Pollard, but it's not the same. They're not the same type of running back that Ezekiel Elliott was in his prime. And that's the piece. That's just the piece.
Well, y'all had a chance to go out and get Henry before the trade deadline. And he would have been that guy that you talking about that could have been pounding.
I know. Don't remind me. I know. We were this close. I know.
Let's go. This is a big game.
Oh, yeah.
All right, listen. One more question before we move on from this. Who needs to win more, Philly or Dallas?
Dallas needed more, for sure. Dallas a different team home than they are away. They undefeated at home this year. Dallas plays well. Dak cooks at home. Whenever Dallas is home, I think they can beat anybody in the NFL. And they will win against Philly this week because they are at home. So they need this win to try to get home field advantage, try to win down this December stretch to just have every game come through Dallas. If they can do that, Dallas will be playing in the Super Bowl. If they got to go on the road, they will exit early. So, yeah, Dallas need this bad.
Do you remember what I said yesterday, Ashley?
You said that Philly needed the game more.
Yeah. I think Philly needs it more.
Why?
I mean, you're rolling. It's like you got to go through. They've been hot for a year and a half. You got to go back to last season. And so you want to peak at the right time. And so, to drop 2 to lose to the 49ers, then the Cowboys, that's a big deal, right? So, I mean, I have and I picked this game back on, like 4 weeks ago. I said, all right, the Eagles have the edge. They'll win in Philly. And then when they come back 4 or 5 weeks later in Dallas, the Cowboys will win it, right? So I have the Cowboys winning it, and it's a small margin. But I just feel like the momentum, man, those are 2 big games. You don't want to go into, you don't want to be in December, starting off 0-2. That's a big deal.
But they'll win their last 4.
Yeah, and it's easy. But, we have to pick. Like, I still believe, like, it's still going to be a toss-up, right? Like, we come in the postseason, you got the 49ers, you got the Cowboys, you got the Eagles. Any of those teams could be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They're that good. I mean, the Cowboys have more to prove, I feel.
Don't sleep on the Lions either, but go ahead. I'm telling you.
Didn't they just lose to the Packers like 10 days ago?
Thanksgiving?
10 days ago?
Don't matter.
What are we talking about?
The Lions usually lose on Thanksgiving, so they're on brand.
They're on brand. That's what I'm saying. You got to get off brand.
Yeah, but I don't really count that. They've been losing on
on
Thanksgiving since I was a baby.
Watch
so
what
like,
I tell you.
Oh my goodness, we're gonna bring in a sleep number bid, and we're gonna say who they sleeping on.
Speaking of teams that won't make the Super Bowl, the New York Jets. There's some new drama surrounding Brandon's New York Jets, sometimes New York Jets. The Jets offense obviously cannot move the ball with Tim Boyle, so there is speculation that Gang Green could try to spin the block and bring Zach Wilson back. But Zach Wilson may or may not want that job back. Robert Saleh spoke about the situation yesterday, and here's what he had to say. Take a listen.
Let's be clear. If he was reluctant to play guys, he wouldn't be here. All right. I actually, coincidentally, just got done speaking with him. He came in about a half hour ago, and we had a really good conversation. The young man wants the ball. He wants to start. He believes he's the best quarterback in the room and best quarterback for this team and the guy who gives us the best chance to win. And I'll tell you guys the same thing I told him. I appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that he wants to play. I'm just not there yet.
Whoa. The tides are changing because once upon a time, Robert Saleh would die on the sword. That is Zach Wilson. And now he said he's just not there yet, which is interesting given the fact that you're not. It kind of reminds me of like, okay, you ever like date a girl or date a guy, depending on, what you're into, and you guys, she or he wants to spin the block, and you're like, I'm just not there yet. I just gotta think about it some more. It's like, okay, I get it, but like, what else is out there that you got to think about? Like, what are you like in this situation, Robert? Like, what do you have to think about? Simeon, Boyle, like what is the alternative? Like, Zach is the lesser of 3 evils here.
Here's what we talk about. What did we talk about yesterday? You weren't on the show, B. We were talking about what was the scenario we were talking about?
Oh, you were talking about how
Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott.
You got to make sure you put your glasses on so that you don't have a wandering eye, blah, 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 and you focus on what you have and not what you don't have. Self-control. Got it.
So this is why Robert Saleh stuck beside.
I'm going to stick beside him.
There you go, Zach Wilson. I'm going to stick beside him.
I told you, I read into what he was saying.
But the pressure, and this is why it's so hard, right, as players and coaches in the National Football League, when you're in these tough situations, to stay true to like what you believe and what you know, right? But the outside noise forced them to cave, right? He sat there this whole year and saw what he had, on this roster, and it wasn't better than Zach Wilson. So because of the pressure, because of the teams folding, because even dudes inside the locker room like, yo, just give us any type of spark. He goes and makes the move. And look what you got. And then look at the next guy. And so now when you look at it, you go out there and practice, you know this. Like, you go out there and you watch it, you seeing it. Zach Wilson could be outperforming these dudes in practice. And even in the game, it's like the Patriots almost like Zappy or, Mac Jones. So it's a terrible situation, but Zach Wilson may be the best answer for you. But he's on the bench now. And now you can't even – it sucks if you even go back. You're in a tough spot if you're the Jets.
The only pushback I have on that, and before let me know if you agree or not, is that it got to a point where you had to see if there was better in the locker room, because you can't continue sticking with what's not working and just completely, throw your season to the side, because there was a point in the season where it was still salvageable. So if that is what the situation is, if the season is still salvageable, but you're still losing games and winning games enough to where there's something that you could possibly make happen, you owe it to the rest of the guys in that locker room, the fans of the team, the franchise as a whole, to see if there's a better option within the locker room. There wasn't a better option, so going back shouldn't be like, oh, I have pie on my face. Now it's, look, I'm the head coach. I made a decision that I thought would be better for the team. It's not better, so let's go back to square one. And I don't feel like that's abnormal. We've seen guys bench their starters and go to the backup. The backup doesn't work. They've gone back to their starter. It's about figuring out what works and how to save the season, and they had to do that with Zach Wilson. So if he says, look, I want the job back, and your homeboy's not working, Boyle, Simeon's not going to be any better, give the man his job back. At this point, what do you have to lose? You had to try it. It didn't work. Now go backward.
Nah, this chess not checkers, right? So when he came out before, and he was kind of hinting like, what y'all want me to do? Take Zach Wilson out and put one of those guys in?
Right.
Like, all right, I'm going to put them in. I'm going to let y'all see what I was working with, right? And then now that they're eliminated, why are they trying to win games? Just leave Trevor Siemian in. You got the number 6 pick of the draft. You don't want to tank on purpose, but right now you got the number 6 pick in the draft, right?
Yeah,
so,
but B, are they mathematically out of it yet?
B.
Are they mathematically
don't start.
out of it yet?
Don't start.
Like, they can win.
Don't start.
You don't know what's going to happen.
What quarterback on their roster can they win? No, they're out.
Maybe this is what Zach needed, another benching.
They have the Texans, the Dolphins, the Commanders, and the Browns coming up. The Texans.
That's winnable with that defense.
They're not. Dolphins. The Commanders will beat them still, because the Commanders are streaky.
Did you say the Jets
They're not
Texans
winning, bro.
were winnable?
Like, they might win one game, and that's the last game of the season against the Patriots. It's just who don't feel like being cold out there, right?
Okay, so to your point then, if the season's already a wash, Aaron Rodgers wants his job. Zach Wilson wants his job back. You're not winning games with Boyle. You're not going to win games with Simeon. You were winning some games with Zach Wilson. Not many, but a couple. Why not just give the man his job back? You tried the backup. He didn't work. Now go, like, what harm is it going to do in the course of the season at this point? It's not going to do any harm.
Because Zach Wilson, he's more talented out of any quarterback on the roster right now that can play. So you might just win 2 games. Right now, you don't want to win 2 games. You want a top 5 pick, and you want to be able to either draft a quarterback, because Aaron Rodgers only have a year or 2 left, so you never have a quarterback issue ever again.
What happened when the Packers drafted Jordan Love? That might be a good idea, because he got mad and then he wanted to be MVP.
So you want them to tank.
Yes, you have to tank right now. And even if you don't go quarterback, and let's just say you get Marvin Harrison Jr. You got Garrett Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. with Aaron Rodgers next year. Your offense is going to – Aaron
Rodgers wants Devontae Adams. That's who he wants.
It's too much money. It's too much money. You get Marvin Harrison Jr., you get him for cheap, and you get him for 5 years before you got to pay him.
Aaron Rodgers, he ain't thinking about that. He ain't waiting for him to develop or come right now. He don't have to develop. He can come make an impact now, but he already got the chemistry with Devontae. Like you said, it's 1 or 2 years. Go do it.
Well, Aaron Rodgers obviously is going to come back the start of next season, and he will be the starting.
He's coming back this year, but go ahead.
Aaron Rodgers is going to come back to the start of next season, and he's obviously going to be the starting quarterback for the whole season, health permitting. Is Zach Wilson still the backup for this team? Do you still believe he's the backup?
It's over with. It's over with.
And there's a reason I'm asking. So yes or no that he's still the backup for this football team.
The Jets, the fan base ain't having it. I was on FaceTime with my homeboy from Queens, and for some reason he's in Butler, Pennsylvania, 45 minutes outside of Pittsburgh. I don't know why. He's like, hey, these are my homies I'm working with. And one of the guys, I'm like, oh, so what's going on with the Steelers? He's Steelers. I'm a Jets fan. And I said, okay, well, what the hell's going on with our Jets? Mm-hmm. And he said the first thing out of his mouth, literally this morning, asked me before he came on the show, like 10:45. He's like, how do we go into the season with Zach Wilson as our backup quarterback? Aaron Rodgers goes down, but y'all made a decision to go into this season with Zach Wilson. And I'm like, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm like, bro, Aaron Rodgers went down in the first few plays of the first quarter of the first game.
75 seconds.
That's just terrible luck, right? That's just, I don't know, maybe bad mojo and bad karma, whatever. So if the fan base is already thinking like that, there's no way they can go into next year with Zach Wilson on that roster.
Well, listen, the fan base and fan bases want what they want. Doesn't mean they're going to get it. So I'm asking if you are the organization, because they're the ones making the decisions. I know us as fans think we have say. We don't. Is he your backup?
That's tough.
Well,
because he has some talent.
So just
but
give me
again,
yes or no. There's a reason I'm asking. So just yes or no.
I'll say no because they're not gonna pick up his fifth-year option. So he's only gonna be on the roster for another year or two anyway.
So, but you
may go into the season with him on as your backup, but you may trade him or try to get some value after preseason.
When Aaron Rodgers returns, he will be the backup, whether it's for the full season, part of the season, but Zach Wilson will be his backup. Can you agree with that?
All right, I can agree with that.
Okay, so if that is the case, and that's the reality of the situation, whether or not the season's a wash, don't you want him out there getting reps? Don't you want him out there getting game time experience?
You do, but what happens
it doesn't matter.
Yes, you do, but you know how hard that is?
What difference does it make? Who's the quarterback?
You was a part of that. You was a part of that. Look what y'all did. Robert Saleh sat up there for 7 weeks or 8 weeks saying, this is my guy. I'm going to stick beside him. And you was like, why? Why? Tell him how hard that is as a player, as a coach. That's why they're not doing it. They wanted Zach Wilson to finish out.
But you know what? This is, you know what?
Y'all win, fans.
Yeah, this is what y'all wanted. Nah, we gonna ride.
This is ass backwards, and I'll tell you why. Because
now it's
ass backwards, and I'll tell you why. Because when we, as fans of football, because I'm obviously not a Jets fan, we're calling for Zach Wilson to be benched. The Jets were in a drastically better position. It was earlier in the season. Their season could have been salvageable if you had made a decision at quarterback to either go get a veteran quarterback or figure it out what you were going to do within that organization at the quarterback position. It was week 4, I believe, or week 5. There was a whole season left of football to play. You going ahead and changing the quarterback at the 11th hour does absolutely nothing. You're trying to prove a point, like, okay, this is what you want. Okay, cool, but it's no sweat off my back. Now our season's over. Like, this was a change that should have been made earlier in the season. I understand wanting to go ahead and let Zach Wilson go through the trials and tribulations, but your season as a whole was very salvageable and very winnable. You made the decision last minute.
They made the right decision. Even like Dobbs, I went to the Minnesota Vikings schedule, right? Dobbs comes in and what he wins 2 games in a row. Is it 2 or 3? Was it 2? 2 games. And now they lost the last 2 to Broncos and also the Chicago Bears, right? And then they went into their bye. Their head coach went into the bye basically saying, I don't know who our quarterback's going to be. He threw 3-4 picks. So this is history. This is what we've seen over the course of the last 20, 30 years in the NFL. You go pick up a quarterback off the streets on another team mid-season, and it doesn't work, right? Like, maybe the Vikings get back on track. Maybe Dobbs keep his job. But the Jets, to me, made the right decision because history has shown us that it doesn't work. And then also, it can happen. We just saw it last night with the Cincinnati Bengals. That sometimes that quarterback comes in and he gives you a spark, right? And they can do something for a moment. Maybe they can do it for the season, but it's very rare. And so you see these guys that they went with, and now they're talking about we don't know who our quarterback is. Like, come on. It just doesn't work.
To answer Ash's question, right, what matters to you most? Wilson coming in, getting reps, and you're not even expecting him to play at all next year? Or you moving up in that draft order and you're going to have a top 5 pick, and you can pick whoever you want.
But the thing is you have Aaron Rodgers. You're not going to get a quarterback because, like Brandon.
But why not? He only going to play for 2 years.
To Brandon's point, you've seen that story play out. You don't want to do that again. Like you're not going to go ahead and go after a quarterback.
But the quarterbacks this year are superstars. Zach Wilson wasn't a superstar.
Point.
He wasn't a superstar.
No. This is literally my point.
Coming out of college.
Think about what you're saying. You had Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, who at the time had no plans on retiring wasn't even thinking about A, retirement, or B, even leaving Green Bay. Green Bay brings in Jordan Love, not a superstar quarterback, wasn't like this stud of a quarterback in college. Aaron Rodgers, still in his feelings about it. You have Aaron Rodgers on the New York Jets, fresh off of an Achilles injury, and you're going to bring in Caleb Williams to be his backup, and you think that's going to go over well with Aaron Rodgers and his ego?
Because Aaron Rodgers knows he's only want to play 2 more years. Aaron Rodgers.
You and I know that, but we're talking about Aaron Rodgers here. You want to run that risk?
They were communicated to A-Rod. Listen, you play for however long you want. Whenever you're done, this is when we're going to implement your backup. We just don't want to go through a quarterback issue, and we don't want to miss out on a generational talent that's going to come behind you. When the last time they had a good quarterback in New York? They have a chance right now to be like, yo, for the next 15 years, we'll be straight. A-Rod to give us 2 to 4.
You want to run that risk?
I'll run that risk.
You want to run that
risk? Look, what you do is you run it by A-Rod. Like, hey,
that's why he was pissed.
A-Rod, you talk to A-Rod. What do here's what we're thinking. How do you feel about it? They know. A-Rod knows. He has 2 years, probably max. Maybe he played 3. But it's time to go find that long-term quarterback. So
if it's let's say it's 2 seasons, let's say it's 3 seasons, you're gonna go ahead and use a draft pick on a quarterback for that potentially for 3 seasons is not going to see any starting time.
Well, we don't know. We don't know.
Are you
think
Caleb Williams is going to go ahead and
Aaron Rodgers did it?
They're not going to get Caleb.
I'm just going to use him as an example.
You can't.
You heard what his dad said. He may not even enter the draft depending on what team.
They're not going to be picking 1 or 2.
I'm just using him.
You can't.
I'm using it in terms of like a stud quarterback.
No.
Because B-Flow specifically said a superstar stud quarterback. So I'm just using him as an
example. So just go Michael Penix. I think he's just as good as
whatever.
Michael Penix is just as good as Caleb Williams.
Quarterback name. You're going to have a stud of a quarterback sitting on the bench for 3 years until Aaron Rodgers decides that he's done playing football.
It could be 2. Ash always going to go to the extreme. She's going to pick Caleb Williams, and she's going to say 3 years. It could be 2.
You said 3.
I said 1. I said 2.
You went from 1, 2, and then you ended.
I don't think A-Rod want to play more than 2 years.
Ashley, you wow.
You said 3 years. I'm repeating what you said.
You were funny. What's wrong with you?
Did he not say 3 years?
You kind of did.
2 to 3. 3 at the most.
Okay.
But let's just say Michael Penix come in. I think him coming in, you got a humble quarterback coming in saying, I can learn from A-Rod for 3 years and be in New York. He'll have no problem with that. And the Jets organization will have no problem with doing that. Knowing that they won't have an issue at quarterback more for a long time, that's a no-brainer to me.
I think here's
they're not taking a quarterback.
Listen, I think they consult with Aaron Rodgers. They have these conversations together. Aaron's in all those meetings, for sure.
All of them.
But here's what I think Aaron Rodgers says. Guys, I took 50% pay cut. I was due 60. I gave up 30 so we can go bring in whatever we need before the trade deadline, or some point in the season. All right? I'm here for 2 years, and I came here to win the Super Bowl. Y'all brought me here to win the Super Bowl. So with this pick, go get me a left tackle. Go get me a center. I don't know what they need up front. Go get me another wide receiver. When Aaron Rodgers was special, well, Aaron Rodgers has always been special. There was never a moment where he's never been not special. But think about it. He's always had 3 to 4 dynamic pass catchers, whether it's 3 receivers and a tight end, right, or 2 tight ends and 2 wide receivers. They've always had dynamic at the pass catching position, running backs included. So I think Aaron Rodgers sits down with the Jets and says, "Look, we ain't got time. Don't bullshit us with some quarterback's going to sit there and can't help us right now. We came here to win right now, so go get me somebody that can impact the game right now." And it could be,
they can bring in a Devontae Adams and still draft a quarterback, though.
They're not taking a quarterback.
But number 1 overall. I hear what you're saying. But as I'm thinking, if I put myself in Aaron Rodgers' shoes, like Aaron Rodgers, and he's that type of dude, right? It's like he wants what he wants, right? And so as a player, players don't care about, I don't care about I care about the Jets, but I ain't thinking about what y'all doing 5-10 years from now. I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah.
I'm here to win today. So Aaron Rodgers, knowing that he only has 2, at most actually 3 years left, he's going to say, I need some help up front.
Well, listen, we will see. Iceberg in the chat says what the Jets need is Jesus.
No, they don't.
That,
Boy, we all need Jesus, but we ain't far off. We need Achilles. That's what we need. We need a healthy Achilles and stay healthy.
Brandon, pick a side and stay on
What?
it. Are you a Bronco or are you a Jet? You can't keep doing this. Stop teetering back and forth.
No. I'm Russell Wilson and I'm a Jet.
I'm Russell Wilson and I'm a Jet.
I retired
and
a Jet.
on that note, folks, it is time for Yo Rookie, presented by Pepsi Zero Sugar, NFL Rookie of the Week. First and foremost, big congratulations to Jalen Hyatt, who was Rookie of the Week in Week 12, making it back-to-back weeks for the New York Football Giants after Tommy DeVito won it in Week 11. So congratulations to Jalen. Nice little rookie weight belt, championship belt there. But now we're going to go ahead and move forward.
Jalen won it?
Jalen Hyatt won it this week. Tommy DeVito won it the week prior. So back-to-back weeks for the New York Giants.
Look at the Giants. That's
all
beautiful.
Right. Well, we're going to move on to Week 13, and we have a whole new list of nominees. So go ahead and throw that up there, BC. Here we go. No surprise. We've seen this guy a few times throughout the season. That's CJ Stroud, in case you didn't know. Back on the list after 274 yards and a touchdown in the Texans' win over who, B-Flow? Over who?
The Broncos.
The Broncos.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to go ahead and make sure Brandon heard you when you said that. And moving down, nice to see this guy back on the list. He was out with injury, but Devin Achane is back with 103 scrimmage yards and 2 rushing touchdowns for the Miami Dolphins. We have number 3, Zach Charbonnet. I hope I said that right. Charbonnet, sorry. Recorded 99 scrimmage yards and 1 rushing touchdown. We have Puka Nacua. Puka's back on the list, Brandon. He had 139 yards from scrimmage and 1 receiving touchdown. We have for the Detroit Lions, Sam Laporta had 9 catches for 140 yards and 1 TD. And last but not least, from the Texans, who got a win over who?
Broncos.
The Broncos. Will Anderson had 5 tackles and 2 sacks in the Texans' win over who? The Broncos. And now joining the show, please.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
This is a guy.
Okay, go ahead.
This is a guy now. Is he a big guy? Is he a fast guy? What is he? Every time I looked up Ashley, there was only a few dudes. I'm like, damn, how many receptions do they have? How many yards do they have? How many touchdowns? I'm always trying to lead the league in everything. And he was always there. This is a true legend. And there's a real question. This is a real question. And maybe we start here. I kind of know his answer. You know what I mean? Kind of politically correct at times. Who is the best wide receiver in his organization? Is it him? Is it the other guy? And the other guy is a guy. Might be first ballot. This is a guy, B. This is a guy. Sorry, Ashley. I just want to make sure
before you finish.
There you go. Roddy White. First off, all right, you got 2 questions. One, bro, get your internet ready, bro. You're supposed to be on at 12:15. We 30 minutes late.
I ain't get the link. You supposed to send the link, bro.
No, bro, you got the link. We all right, real. That's on us, for real. Bro, who's the best wide receiver in the Falcons organization? And be real, bro. History. No, he laughing.
Listen. I'm gonna always tell you that the guy that's gonna make the Hall of Fame is the best wide receiver in Falcons history. So I would go with Julio Jones.
Okay.
And I would just say mentored by Roddy along the way.
Are you going to present him into the Hall of Fame?
I have no idea. When that time comes, I don't know which direction he would want to go in. I mean, it's been a lot of people in his life that has helped him along the way. So we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Hopefully, I am the guy.
Okay. Well, you are him now. It is a debate, though. Listen, I'm gonna be on. We always be honest with each other over the years. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'll probably go Julio too, but it's a debate though. Like you was him. B, wasn't he him
Yeah,
though?
I faced Roddy a few
faced him?
times. Yeah, he was that.
He was that boy. Boy, love you, boy.
Listen, Roddy, I want to ask you, we've been talking to rookies all season during this segment, and one of the things I'm always curious about when speaking to them is the transition from college to professional, and what is the easiest part of that transition, and what is the most difficult part of that transition. So I want you to take us back to your rookie season and what you can remember. What was the easiest and what was the hardest part of jumping from college to professional?
I would say the easiest part was actually not having a college responsibility of like going to class and actually having to practice, because those were just long days that we had to do each and every day and as a college student. You know what I'm saying? When you got to the pros, your only job was to play football. So you just woke up, went to practice, and then you were able to come home. But the hardest part of transition is actually the speed of the game and just understanding what they want from you and what their expectations are for you, because everybody got a role that you come into. And a lot of times when you coming from a college level to a pro level, you're not willing to accept that role that they want for you at that point. But that's the role that they had for you coming into the league. So a lot of times, especially when I was a rookie, man, I would be getting in fights and stuff with the OC and stuff like that, because they was like, Roddy, you had to play your role. I'm like, nah, I ain't come here to play that role. I come here to eat. So it was difficult for me to have that understanding, and that's why I think I struggled, with the first 2 years of me coming into the league, because I wasn't accepting of that role.
Right. So bro, do you still go around the organization? Obviously you played for the Atlanta Falcons. We know that, right? Like throughout the course of your career. Do you still go around the team?
Yeah, man, I'm VIP over there.
You VIP? Okay, cool. So this rookie, Bijan Robinson, right? When you see him and you see him play, you see him practice, who does he remind you of? That's the first part. And the second part is, because sometimes it's like in preseason, it could be in camp, it could be in OTAs, and I don't know, when you first saw him, when was the first time you was like, oh, he really is him?
Yeah, I went out to training camp and watched practices and see him, how fluid he is, how easily he can get in and out of cuts, and then his explosion once he get the ball, and how he could explode through holes. You always look for these type of things in running backs, and he had everything at a really elite level. You know what I'm saying? So when I see him, I see like a Saquon Barkley. Maybe not as strong, lower half, but the ability to make people miss, create opportunities in space. And then once he hits that next gear, he could go get it and be gone. So that's who I see him, man.
Special.
Roddy, let's get into some MVP talk. Tyreek Hill, a guy that's been getting a lot of attention. You know how hard it is to get 2,000 yards in the season. You think he's worthy of this award this year? And would you like to see more non-receivers?
If he get 2K, he got to get MVP.
Yes.
He got to get it.
He got to get it.
He got to get it. You got to give it to him.
So would you like to see more non?
I don't know why the MVP has become a quarterback award anyway every year.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Would you like to see more non-quarterbacks get MVP awards?
If they are deserving of it. I mean, they have such a high criteria right now. So if the quarterback throw for 5,000 yards and 35-plus touchdowns, they automatically MVP. You know what I'm saying? They don't even take other positions into consideration. If somebody get 20 sacks, they not MVP of the league, because you could just give them defensive player of the year. But if you meet a criteria, that don't mean that you're supposed to be like the MVP, even though that position is the most important, in sports. At the end of the day, it's a lot of other things that go in between, the lines and the other players on the team that help you get to that point. Like, I remember years where Matt Ryan was right there in the running when me and Julio was out there, for MVP. And Julio had like 1,300 yards. I had like 1,300 yards. You know what I'm saying? And then we were in double-digit touchdowns. You got to understand, that's like That's like almost 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns between just two guys.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times those opportunities don't get, for a wideout, it's so hard for us to get those opportunities because we got to go bananas, to win the award.
Why do you think that it's become such it should really be MVQ at this point, most valuable quarterback. Why do you think that it's become such a quarterback award and so many other positions that have been instrumental in helping seasons be successful, whether it's offense or defense, are just constantly cast to the side?
I think it's become that way because the league pushes the quarterbacks to be the forefront of every organization. And that's the goal for them because these guys are going to play a lot longer than a lot of other positions. And they want them to be the face of the league. Anytime you have a guy and you can pinpoint that guy and put him wherever you want to in the nation, and people can gravitate to that person and they want to go see him, and then you can get a guy under center for 10, 15 years, to carry a franchise and have opportunities to win Super Bowls, then you're going to always nominate that guy to be the face of the league. And I always see the MVP as the face of the league, and most of us do because the guy that actually wins it usually is a playoff quarterback or in Super Bowl contention. So a lot of those elements go into play. So that's why I think the MVP, it is what it is.
So I want to piggyback off of this before we transition here. I want to get, your top three, in order MVP candidates, right? You got Tyreek Hill, who we just talked about. You have Lamar Jackson. You have Dak Prescott. I think as of this morning, you have Brock Purdy, who's now the favorite to win MVP. And you have some others as well, right? Some people are calling for McCaffrey to be his name to be mentioned even more. I don't know if there's any defenders out there, but those are some of the guys. Who are your top three?
As of right now, I got Tyreek 2. I got Dak 1.
Ooh, look at that.
Like, Dak been playing lights out football, yo. I ain't gonna lie. He on fire right now.
So let me ask you this question. If Dak Prescott finished the season still hot and Tyreek go over 2K, who's the MVP?
Tyreek Hill.
Okay, cool. All right, just making sure you standing on business.
That's why I got him at 2. I'm waiting for the 2K.
So who's number 3?
And then I got Lamar Jackson at number 3.
Okay. All right.
Well, Brent, I know. Oh, go ahead. Before you go ahead.
Now, I was just going to say, those some heavy hitters he named with all those players that can ball. Who you got playing in the Super Bowl this year then?
Ooh.
Man, right now? Oh, boy. I got Lamar Jackson in the Niners.
Dang.
Ooh. You know what? I got Baltimore and I got the Cowboys.
Man, the Cowboys ain't beating the 49ers at home, man.
If the Cowboys get home field advantage, I think they'll get the Niners.
Why? Hold on. Why aren't the Cowboys beating the 49ers at home?
You had me at MVP. You
And
lost
hold
me
on.
here.
We don't know that we don't know that the 49ers going to have home field advantage.
They all going to run.
They're not losing no more games, man.
Oh, they're going to run the table.
As long as everybody stay healthy, I would say that.
Okay.
They will another game this year.
All right.
So, all right.
Interesting.
We good there? Y'all, that boy said that was a good one, bruh. That was a good one. Baltimore. Hold on real quick. Before we go, why Baltimore? You got the Chiefs. You got the Dolphins is leading the AFC with an 8-3, 9-3 record.
Yeah, but I just don't. I believe
and you got the Broncos too.
They bring a component to the game is like they can control the flow of the games. And the reason why I feel like they're gonna win, they'll probably have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, because the Miami will lose another game. Baltimore may not, even though they got a much tougher schedule. They control pace in every game that they play.
Right.
Like Lamar Jackson controls the pace of the game. They're able to run the ball. They're able to play action pass. They're able to get a lot of things that they want. And then their defense been playing lights out the whole year. I mean, they don't give up a lot of points on defensive side of the ball. You telling me Lamar Jackson got to get to 21, 24 points to win a football game? Bro, he getting that every time.
Bro, don't sleep on the Broncos, bro.
Man, you gotta
Roddy,
stop talking about the
before I ask you my question, I need you to talk some sense into your fellow wide receiver and your friend here, Brandon Marshall, and explain to him why the Denver Broncos are not going to do anything.
Bruh,
Please talk. We've been trying for weeks.
You got high football IQ, Roddy. Now, talk to him.
What do you mean not gonna do anything? Like
This is not a conference championship team. This is not a team that may even get into the playoffs. This is certainly not a Super Bowl team. Please help him.
Nah, he know better than that, man. He just Brandon Marshall right now is just being a guy that said he rooting for the team that he played for. But I don't know why he's doing that because he played for like 18.
So when you think of me, what team do you like connect me to out of the 18?
Man, you kind of like Brittany Renner of football, bro. You all over the place.
I love you. Hey, who's the one though to put me on the map though, bro? Somebody put Brittany on the map.
That's what I'm saying. The Broncos put you on the map, and then you wanted out. You like, I gotta go.
Gotta go. You remember I punted the ball?
Man, listen, man. I was watching you, right? And I called I called Hack, right? I said,
Yeah. Hack was out there. His quarterback from UAB.
Marshall doing out there. This man headlining Sports Center punting.
I'm still on the Brittany Renner of football. That's absolutely hilarious. Let's dive into some quick top 5 lists. And Brandon loves this conversation. So top 5 receivers in football right now. Doesn't have to be in any particular order if you can't think of the order fast enough. But if you can, go ahead and put them in order.
Well, it's just my top 5, no particular order.
Okay.
But I like Tyreek. I like the LSU boys, Chase and Jefferson.
You can't go with Jefferson. Jefferson ain't played in 20 weeks.
He don't have to play in 20 weeks. He don't have to play. I don't even care. He don't play.
Okay, go ahead.
He like that. I like Devontae Adams and then A.J. Brown.
That's 4. I need one more.
No, that was 5.
Who was the 5th one?
Devontae Adams and
Tyreek.
A.J. Brown and the two LSU boys.
Okay.
Which I'm lobbying for him to take Justin Jefferson out. He is if he was active. So let's just play that game. Take him out, put somebody else in because he's on ice right now. Who would you put in?
Who would I put in? Oh, man.
There's a guy in Dallas. He wears number 88. He's pretty nice.
Yeah, he is. CD would go in.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. Last thing really quick before we let you go. Word association. Okay, you're a smart guy. You went to UAB. What happened to UAB? They got a program, took the program back, took the program away, then they brought it back. Y'all back. Okay, y'all back. You donated that money.
Old stuff, man. Here you go, Brett.
All right, here we go. All right, I'm going to give you a player, and you give me a word to describe them. Stephon Diggs.
Beast.
CD Lamb.
Consistent.
Ooh.
Justin Jefferson.
Everything.
Ooh. Mike Evans.
Ooh. Hall of Famer.
And your former teammate, Julio Jones. Last one.
Greatest.
Ooh.
GOAT. There you go.
He said the greatest.
There you go.
Yeah, okay.
Roddy, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you having us talk to you and coming on to the show and providing us some laughs here with Brandon Marshall and bringing him back down to reality. I'm going to call you Brittany from now on.
Don't say you started. So
Brandon, Ashley, and Brittany, we thank you so much. This has been Yo Rookie, presented by Pepsi Zero Sugar, NFL Rookie of the Week.
Love, bro.
Oh, man. Appreciate you.
I'll see you in Atlanta.
Bet.
I won't text you at 3 in the morning no more.
Man, come on.
Listen, just a reminder, if you want to go ahead and vote for any of the Week 13 nominees, head over to NFL.com/voting/rookies. That's NFL.com/voting/rookies. All right, let's talk some Monday Night Football, guys. It actually turned out to be a rather entertaining game between the Bengals and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, you saw Joe Burrow on the sideline, obviously not looking thrilled with that club on his hand. Obviously wishes he was out there playing with his guys. He even posted a picture on his Instagram account that said, confirmed, playing football is a lot more fun than watching it. So he is not having a good time, but way to support his teammates on the sideline. Now, this was a huge loss for the Jacksonville Jaguars in a multitude of reasons as they gear up for the postseason. Now, they lost to the Bengals in overtime. Jacksonville is now at 8-4, currently the 4th seed in the AFC. But an even bigger storyline coming out of the game is that Trevor Lawrence has a high ankle sprain, but luckily may or may not miss significant time. His status for this Sunday is uncertain. Now, it is expected that, we're gearing towards believing it could be a couple of weeks, but right now it's uncertain, and his status for Sunday is uncertain. Do you see Trevor Lawrence playing in this game? I think first and foremost, one of the things that was baffling to me is that he's being helped to the locker room. Where is the cart? Why is your franchise quarterback walking from the field? I mean, obviously he was walking with assistance, but from the field to the locker room, actually,
yeah, that's interesting.
Physically moving his body.
Supposed to be out there.
Where the hell is the cart?
Well,
can I get a golf cart? Something. What is happening here?
I don't know, B. Sometimes, actually, great job. I didn't even think about that. That makes a lot of sense. But sometimes the players are like, yo, I don't want to get on the cart. Sometimes they want to be able to walk. But to answer your question, Ashley, it's not looking good, right? Because there's little things that as players where you're like, okay, if it's even a high ankle, you usually can walk off by yourself, limp off by yourself. You don't need to be able to have two guys holding you up, so you don't put weight on that injured side. For them to carry him off like that, and he couldn't walk off and limp off, it tells me that it may be a couple of weeks. Now, at the quarterback position, we saw Patrick Mahomes deal with something similar to this and bounce back and play through it. That was last year, and they ended up going to the Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll see. But, usually guys that can bounce back from an ankle sprain are guys that can, limp off the field. He had two guys carrying him off, and that is alarming.
And again, just want to go ahead and reiterate that head coach Doug Peterson did say it is, quote, just a high ankle sprain with all the other tests coming back clean. The Jaguars and Peterson are not putting a timetable on Lawrence's recovery. Yeah. And they also did not rule him out for this week, and it's also not season ending. So good news in the midst of all the uncertainty with their franchise quarterback.
I will say,
it's
my guy, man. Yeah. Trevor was going to make some noise in the playoffs, but a high ankle sprain it's not right? You can't say just a high ankle sprain. I had one, and maybe because I'm a DB, you can't move really at all. I think what makes Trevor Lawrence great is when he can move in and outside the pocket, right? That's his game.
He did it last night.
Mobile.
Some beautiful plays last night doing that.
He's very mobile. And a high ankle sprain, if you don't rest it, it's going to bother you for the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll be smart for him to sit down for at least 2 games.
He can't afford it, B.
I know, because they're in 4th place with, 4 losses, and the Cleveland Browns is in 7th place with 5 losses. So you can't take no L's now. And they got the Browns coming up.
Yeah, and then also the Texans. Yeah. Texans are hot.
And if we look at Jacksonville's schedule, they had the Browns, Ravens, Bucks. Well, Browns and Ravens are going to be their tough games. Then they got the Bucks, Panthers, and Titans.
Bucks ain't no pushover.
They're not a pushover.
They you know what I mean? That's a team is what are we going to get? Is Baker going to be hot? Not what?
But the Browns defense, man, they have a great defense. Myles Garrett get pressure. Do you want Trevor Lawrence getting rolled up on? And if you can squeak in the playoffs, possibly have him healthy, because you're not going to need him down the stretch with the Panthers and the Titans.
Easy answer. Patrick Mahomes did it. Patrick Mahomes did it last year. We seen it. Patrick Mahomes, bro, warrior. And so it's just a gotta-have-it moment, bro, because and when you look at it, look at the whole – go through the playoff picture again, B, and go through all the teams that are, in the hunt. So if they don't win this division, they could potentially not be in the wild card. So
I mean, listen, it is a sigh of relief for the Jacksonville Jaguars, their fans, considering what Trevor Lawrence's reaction was during the game when, he got injured. He slammed his helmet down. Mm-hmm. He looked extremely frustrated. I mean, you almost held your breath that it wasn't something worse than this. That's because usually a reaction like that, a player knows their own body, and a reaction like that usually indicates something season ending a lot of the time. It's something that it's either a fracture or, an Achilles, or, a reaction like that makes you almost say, well, there goes our season. So the fact that that was not the case, is not the case for him is definitely a sigh of relief that there is still life with the Jacksonville Jaguars the remainder of this football season and into the playoffs.
Hey, I'm sorry, Ashley, I'm laughing because when you said that, it just took me back to the first half of my career where I'll have a little scratch and I'll start screaming.
Well, you're dramatic.
So dramatic. And then it was like year 5B. I finally said, it was like, hold on, just sit here for 45 seconds.
You gotta let it ride for a little bit.
Yeah, let's see where we at, right? Yeah. Okay, you're okay.
Yeah.
And there was that last one, I knew I wasn't okay, and I just had to put my head down, snap my ankle in MetLife Stadium, that terrible ass grass. But Ashley, you took me back down memory lane. I was like, and then I'm back in the next play.
Well, you're dramatic. We're going to move on. But before we do, I actually want to correct myself and say this gentleman's name correctly because I totally butchered it during the rookie segment. And names are important to get correct. So it's Zach Charbonnet, who recorded 99 scrimmage yards and 1 rushing touchdown. So Zach Charbonnet.
Good for you.
That is his name.
Good for you, because I'm going to chop up everybody's name.
No. So, guys, when we go ahead and release our Pepsi Rookie of the Week segment on social, make sure we use the correct pronunciation of Zach's name. Zach, I am so sorry, and I will not mess your name up again. Charbonnet, it's kind of like the wine.
Yep.
Names are important. Journalism 101. And if any, body's watching who wants to go ahead and pursue journalism, if you don't get anything right, make sure you get a name right. Names are very, very important. We're going to move on to a topic that we've been discussing, I feel like, constantly throughout this season, and that is the Patriots. Now, we're not discussing them because of their winning record. We're discussing them because of the just abysmal season that they are having and the possible future of this football team, either with or without Bill Belichick. Now, they were shut out at home by the Chargers in a 6-0 loss. The offense is as bad as the league, not the franchise, but the league has seen in almost 100 years. They are the first team in NFL history to hold their opponents to 10 points or less in 3 straight games and lose all 3 games. It is a mess, and Bill Belichick was actually asked after the game if he even wants to continue being the head coach of the New England Patriots. Listen to this. Oh, we actually don't have a soundbite. Sorry about that.
I'll do it.
Go ahead.
Ask me the question.
Bill, your future with the New England Patriots, do you even want to continue being the head coach of this football team?
I don't know. Just like, we're just on the next week.
That's exactly what he said. He said, I'm just focused on Pittsburgh.
That's what he said?
This week. Yeah. So instead of asking the constant question of should the Patriots fire Bill Belichick, the question we should actually be asking, I feel like at this point, is should Bill Belichick want out of New England?
No.
I don't know, B. Like, I think Bill see the writing on the wall, man. I think I can't say he can't see in the foreseeable future that New England will get back on track because he still got Josh McDaniels in his pocket. And like I always keep saying, he got his boy that can come from the Raiders. I don't know why my mind drawing blank right now. Quarterback.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy G.
You're saying that he could potentially – you think he's going to bring Josh McDaniels back?
He has to. Look what his offense doing right now. Whenever Josh McDaniels was there, they was decent, right? He always was on the table for Jimmy G. So he at least wants to stay one more season to see how that play out, just to see if he felt like I was right this whole time about Josh McDaniels and Jimmy G leading his Patriots team. Now, if that don't work, I can see him starting to go ahead and backpedal his way out of there.
Bill Belichick has all the leverage. First off, let me answer the question. No, he shouldn't leave. He shouldn't leave because you got to think, he's not just – he don't have to he's not just like standing up a team, an offense, a defense, and implementing the philosophy there. Bill Belichick is involved in every inch of the business.
That's a lot.
Right? Even like the game day music he's involved in. B, when we go to New England, we go to Foxborough, what happens? Remember, like, we don't listen to music. We don't hear music.
Yeah.
He's so strategic. He
What are they
plays
playing?
chess. They playing all of the stuff.
Like Bruce Springsteen?
But the
or?
thing is, Ashley, you know, you go to any stadium, the speakers,
Yeah,
the
right
sound
before the
going
game,
through
listen to the
everything.
music,
No,
yeah.
only on their side. So we down there in the quiet. We don't hear nothing.
Sound doesn't travel?
We hear nothing.
You just hear echoes? of
He's a
sound?
Interesting.
Interesting.
He's a genius. So now he has to implement that. He has to talk to the social media team. This is the do's and don'ts. He has to talk to get on the same page with the scouts. Get on the same page with the owner. That's too much work when you about to turn a 88.
He's not.
Something like that.
Okay.
It's too much work. You stay there and you just get the quarterback position right and you're back on track. And then also we got to understand this. Bill Belichick have all the leverage. It's easy to find an owner. There's a lot of billionaires now. It's easy to make $1 billion now. There's a lot of billionaires. So it's easy to find an owner. Not all owners are great. They're not all equal. I will say that. But that guy, come on, man, let's stop playing with Bill Belichick, man. All this conversation around Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, who's important, they both 50-50. And he is harder to find.
Do you think, though, that I hear what you're saying, and I don't feel like a couple of bad seasons wash away Bill Belichick's legacy. I feel like it's an absolutely asinine thing to say. Mm-hmm. But I think that his future with the team, not because of necessarily the Patriots making the move, but maybe his own internal thoughts, I feel like is going to be dependent on what happens in the draft. Because you have a quarterback, he's just not the guy. And you've given it a couple of seasons. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out he's not the guy. Is he an NFL franchise quarterback? Maybe in a different situation. But for New England, he's not the guy. So if you don't get the quarterback that can be the guy, and you're essentially back where you started from, maybe you get an additional piece, maybe you can make a couple of moves, but if the quarterback is not there, it's going to be hard to get guys in free agency. It's going to be hard to go ahead and build a team when you don't have that instrumental piece, the piece that they're searching for post Tom Brady. Bill Belichick's going to be in the exact same situation he is this season. Frustrated, not really having the pieces to win football games. So I say all that to say, if it's going to be more of the same, and he already sees that he's unable to make what the same is, which is what's happening right now, work, why would you try it again? That's like the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing, expecting different results. You need the quarterback. You don't have that.
And B, just even to push back on what you said, I don't think a lot of owners want Bill Belichick in their facility. You know why?
Why?
Because a guy with that much control, he can't scale back. He can't go and say, all right, it's a GM in place, and I'm going to listen to this GM, and the GM makes the call. He's going to want to control everything. I don't see a lot of franchises saying, Bill, you can come here and control everything, especially after they seeing what's going on in New England right now. With him hiring Matt Patricia to be the OC, them being the worst offense in the league right now or the last 100 years. No one's going to give him that much control. So I don't think the owners are going to beat on the table for Bill Belichick right now.
All it takes is one, though. That's all it takes is one. I mean, you never know. He's going. If anything happens, like if he departs, it's going to be via trade. But I don't see him leaving.
What you think would be the best scenario?
And I wouldn't be surprised if that scenario happened. But to me, that's when you like really start hurting your legacy. If I can see them going back and get Josh McDaniels. I can see.
Yeah,
but then if they bring Josh and Jimmy G in and it doesn't work. Do
you think he'll be patient with a rookie though?
Year? Huh?
You think Bill Belichick want another rookie in there?
That's a good question.
I don't think he had the patience to have another rookie.
That's a good question, B. But what's happening with? I mean, who could potentially be available? I think. Kyler Murray. Like he's back.
I like Kyler.
I love Kyler. I'm a big fan of Kyler. But they were talking about maybe moving on from Kyler. Who knows what's happening there? Could they potentially
got a top 3 pick, 4 pick?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, people are going to keep watching the Patriots for this reason and this reason only, because they're not watching them because they're playing entertaining football. So All eyes will be on Bill Belichick, not only during this season, but specifically during the offseason leading up to the NFL draft. Exactly what happens with the future of Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots is yet to be determined. We're going to talk some MVP right now. And it's actually interesting. This is Brandon and I were talking about this yesterday. I think one of the things that makes this season so exciting, two things. One is there's so many ways that so many divisions can go. We're still trying to fill in certain blanks. You know, the division leaders, they're probably at this point, unless they absolutely fall apart, they're safe, they're going in. But there's so many spots that are still yet to be determined that's making these last few weeks extremely exciting. But the same can be said for the MVP conversation because there's so many quarterbacks, just offensive players in general, that could walk away with this trophy this year. And one of those being Brock Purdy. Here's the interesting about that. Vegas is taking notice of what the Niners are doing because apparently Brock Purdy, yes, Brock Purdy has separated himself from the pack when it comes to odds maker favorites for NFL MVP. Yes, that's beating out Dak Prescott, who has risen to second, followed by Jalen Hurts at third, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes. Beeflo, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Irrelevant here. He was in your top 5 list of quarterbacks, but do you think that he has been the MVP through 13 weeks of the NFL season, that he should now be leading the MVP favorites when it comes to Vegas, or is this a little bit of a recency bias?
I think we're putting a little bit too much on it. Even though I love Brock Purdy, I always had him in my top 5. I took him out when they went on a 3-game skid. But the reason I don't have him winning the NFL MVP is what happened during that 3-game skid. When you lose your number 1 receiver in Deebo Samuels, if you're the MVP of the league, you're supposed to make it work regardless, right? You can't say, yo, we ain't winning 3 games because I don't got my guy. I don't got Deebo. I don't got Trent. Like, we lost 3 games that we were supposed to win. You, as an MVP, you're supposed to will your team to a win no matter what. We see what Mahomes does with his receivers out or missing, or Kelsey hurt and he in and out. He's still cooking no matter what. So I think Brock Purdy, he's a great quarterback, but when CeeDee Lamb out or when Amari Cooper was out when he was with the Cowboys, we always said Dak ain't have his number 1 receiver. Right. Look how he look. He's not this, he's not that. But we don't give that same pressure to Brock Purdy when his number 1 receiver was out. And we just watched it. It was like, oh, he ain't have all his guys. Now that all his guys healthy, nah, he is who he is. The reason I won't put him as the MVP is because even when your guy's out, you got to make it work and play at the MVP caliber.
Can I ask you another question?
What's up?
What does he got to do? What does Mr. Irrelevant got to do to prove to y'all that he's him?
Like, I think he's him, but I just don't think he's the MVP.
I mean, like, bro, like,
I was the only one that put him in my top 5. You didn't even have him in your top 5. I was the only one that put him in my top 5.
That was solid. But then you jumped off the ship.
I'm human.
You
jumped. Good answer.
I'm human.
So are you back on? You want to get back on?
With him with a healthy lineup.
So who are you taking out?
What?
Because you put Dak in his place. So who are you taking out? Because you can't take Dak out at this point.
Top 5?
No, I'm just saying in his top 5, Brock Purdy was there. Dak wasn't. So when you took Purdy out, Dak came in. So now who you removing?
So no order. I got Dak. I got Brock. I have Pat. I have Jalen.
Russell Wilson.
And I have, I got to go Lamar over Josh right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I got to go Lamar.
Sure.
So I took out Josh.
Listen. Number 1 quarterback rating in the National Football League, 116. Number 2 is Dak Prescott at 108. Number 3, I'm not even going to call it Jake Browning. He just got the ball. Tua Tagovailoa is number 3 at 106. And then you have Kirk Cousins. He's no longer there. C.J. Stroud sitting there at 101. So it's a big thing. It's a big deal.
CJ on your list.
I know. It's hard.
TDs. Brock Purdy, 23, 6 interceptions. Dak Prescott, 26, 6 interceptions, right? Dak Prescott has 100 more yards, 50 more yards passing than Brock Purdy. It's going to be one of those things, man, where it comes down to the wire, to be honest. Who's going to finish the strongest? And I'm with Roddy White. We just had Roddy White on the show earlier, Atlanta Falcons legend. If Tyreek Hill goes over, if he clips 2,000, he should be the clear-cut MVP. But it's going to go down to the wire. But don't count old C.J. Stroud out.
Well,
don't do it.
On the topic of MVP, we're going to play a little game. It's called What's the Word? So I'm going to give you guys a sentence. You got to fill it in with a word. A word or a phrase. We're not going to go on and do a full-blown essay, Brandon.
Why are you looking over here?
Okay.
Why are you looking over here?
Okay. We're doing word association. This is basically a little bit longer than word association. So Tyreek Hill's chances of winning the MVP are, give me a percentage. B-Flow?
95%.
Brandon?
Political.
What does that even mean?
He said, what does that even mean?
Like chances of Tyreek Hill winning the MVP are political.
You said no. You want me to explain?
He went to school for football. You said that? That's not how political. That's not how this game works,
It's like,
Brandon.
Does our votes really count in America? Right? Do they really hear us? Do they really listen to us? Like Tyreek Hill should be the MVP, but we know it's the quarterback's trophy. That's all I'm saying. You just heard Roddy White, but you said don't go on the spill, but then you asked me.
I just don't think political fits. It's like
it does fit.
Like my daughter when she bring her homework home, right? And they got 5 words at the top, and you put them in the sentences. If she'd have put political in there, I'm like, does that sound right? Like, did you supposed to put political in this sentence? Like, come on, look at the other words you could have put in there.
What's the question again?
Tyreek Hill's chances of winning MVP are blank.
Shaky like the voting system.
All right, bro.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Moving on, folks.
All right, I'll try to do better. He said, my daughter.
All righty, here we go. The Broncos' chances of making the playoffs are, B-Flow.
60%.
God's will.
She asked for a percent.
Oh, okay.
It could be a phrase.
100%.
It could be a phrase, but
too
God's
easy.
will.
Yeah, it's like, I'm telling you, I told y'all this. I stood on the table when it was 1-5, 2-5.
Nah, they in it.
I stood on the table. Do we not
respect it
have
now.
that clip? Can y'all please get the clip ready? Because it's going to be a conversation that we have every week. They're going to finish.
I hope they get in.
They're going to finish this. They're going to finish their run 11-1. It's 100%. I told y'all that last week. I said they're going to lose one more. They lost to the Texans.
I said they'll lose 3, but
That's
we'll
it.
see.
They're going to beat Detroit. They're going to beat.
They're not beating Detroit.
So they lose to the Texans, and you think they're going to beat Detroit?
Yes.
They're not beating
What's
Packers.
your rationale there?
Listen. Football, game of inches, and 90% of these games are decided by 3 or 4 points. It's like I told Russ, like, yo, that's the best scenario, is to have the ball in your hands at the end of the game. Drove them down there, boom, didn't get it done. Kobe Bryant missed shots, game winners. LeBron missed game winners. Tom Brady did the same thing. Come on, Michael Jordan missed game winners. So that's what you want. Man, that's all we wanted. Where was we at? Maybe where I was in Seattle. Pete Carroll, he used to always say just keep it close, get us in the fourth quarter. Like, and that's like, you gotta be real clutch, and you gotta be really like that mentally to play those type of games. But in the fourth quarter, you separate yourself. So it didn't happen this time. Ball didn't bounce their way. So I think that the Broncos are going to be the hottest team going into the postseason. 11-1. That's going to be the run. That's what we're going to be talking about. It's a storyline. It's a huge storyline. Redemption year. Sorry, Ash. I know you wanted just like a little one word, but
No.
you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
What about?
We're gonna go ahead and travel from the site of Brandon's bromance to the site of
We're done with
his
that?
birth.
We're done?
Before you have anything you want to
No,
add?
there's no more words.
No,
What's the word?
We're continuing.
Okay, great. I love this. I like this. I like this segment.
So from the site of Brandon's bromance to his hometown, Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett is out for a couple of weeks after surgery on a high ankle sprain. So we're going to fill in this blank right now. The Steelers are blank with Mitch Trubisky.
Done.
Interesting. Why? Because Brandon and I had a little bit of a different stance on this topic when Brandon and I discussed it yesterday. I feel like the Steelers are much like the Cleveland Browns in the sense of I don't feel like their success is reliant on their quarterback. they've won games in spite of their quarterback, just like the Browns have won games in spite of their inconsistency as quarterbacks. So I think the games that this team wins or loses is absolutely reliant on everything other than the quarterback position because we've seen them do it all year.
Yeah, Pickett has been average at best, I'll say, for the Steelers this year. But one thing he do give them is a little spark at the end of games. Like, he'll play horrible all game, but make a throw or two at the end of the game to get them over the hump. I just think Trubisky won't even give him that. Like, the whole game, he'll just be average at best. And when it comes down to the crunch time, he won't be able to make those plays that Pickett was able to make to keep them alive in the playoffs. So that's why I think they're done. They're going to have no spark at the quarterback position.
All right, Brandon, listen, you're former Chicago Bear, former Chicago Bear. The Steelers are blank with Mitchell Trubisky.
I ain't gonna do too much. I ain't gonna do too much.
What's the word is the name of the segment.
I was about to do a whole nother. I know. I ain't gonna do too much.
Just want to remind everybody watching, it's what's the word.
They're okay. Like, you gotta say okay. It's like, yeah, okay. It's not like okay. It's like
Steelers are okay with Mitchell Trubisky.
they're okay. Because you gotta look at the schedule. You got the Patriots. It's a winnable game for them. Primetime game. The Colts. You know, they won four. They're playing ball 4 games in a row, but who are they? We'll see. But that should be a game that they're in. The Bengals, like this kid, like we didn't even go through his stat line. What was the kid's name?
Browning.
Who is this guy? He's a 27-year-old rookie, like first year experience. Like what?
He's a stud, obviously.
He was like, but do we believe that? Do you think that he's going to continue to do that? I don't know, but he looked phenomenal. He may have made himself some money last night, especially if he can back that up. The Seahawks, they're in Seattle. That's going to be tough. And they're in the Ravens. That'll be tough. But are the Ravens going to be sitting their guys come January 7th? They'll be in it. Mike Tomlin will be in it. I never forget. A couple years ago, I took Mitch Trubisky and Chase Claypool to ZZ's, and we just had a conversation. And like Mitch Trubisky understood the space that he was in, didn't get it done, ended up losing his job, and then they end up, drafting the quarterback the next year. Sometimes, you notice. When you get these opportunities don't come often. Sometimes it's like, all right, it gives you that spark. It gives you that little bit that you need to get the job done. I'm not saying he's going to save his career and be great, but what I am saying is he can go out there and play some really good ball.
So he didn't feel that when they named him the starter, even when they drafted Pickett? He didn't feel like, I'm in a new situation, this is where I take off?
That's the problem. Because, like, what I saw, if I'm being honest, and I kept saying, bro, just be yourself. And I say this to a lot of guys in this position, is like when you go and you play up tight, you actually play worse. You gotta play free. You can't be thinking about, if I don't take advantage of this opportunity, what's going to happen? I'm probably going to be on another team. They may cut me. You got to go out there and let that shit rip. Like if I'm a quarterback and I'm in this position, I'm out there Brett Favre-ing it.
No way.
Bro,
not
because
in playoff
when you
contention
go
right now, know if you lose, y'all will be out of the playoffs.
But when you go out there, like this, is how he was looking. He was like nervous when we went there. He was like, I'm like, bro, like be free. I'm going out there like, yo, man, I'm going down my way. That's how I would play the position. That's how you
built. That ain't how he built.
I know.
Would you ever look how he looked?
Yeah, I don't know when they quarterback look like that. It's a bad no.
That's what I'm saying.
If you see me ever looking like this, come get me. Call 911.
It ain't in you. That's what I'm saying.
It's over. If you ever see me like that.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, what's not over is the reign of a franchise quarterback in Green Bay, because our last what's the word has to do with the quarterback.
Can't be the last
that is now the franchise quarterback and making a lot of doubters believers. So, last one, Jordan Love is blank. B-Flow?
Underrated. I said from the jump, even when he did have his little rough stretch, like Jordan Love is a pretty good quarterback. You seen him make some throws. He can make throws inside the pocket, outside of the pocket. He has poise. When they start to gel more as offense, because you still have young receivers. They still don't know the game, right? Mm-hmm. Even though he backed up Aaron Rodgers, when you go out there and you feel it, like that's when you start to get your veteran stripes, right? Mm-hmm. So next year, in the years to come, he'll be even better and better, and that's going to be their franchise quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, but there's some people saying that it might not. You talking about next year, they could potentially get into the playoffs and make a little noise. A lot of people, they watching out for these Packers, bro. My answer is
the word.
Yeah, here we go. Jordan Love is the third. You look at Ashley, got her thinking. The third. Where I'm at, B? Why you shaking your head? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, the third franchise quarterback?
Yeah. Good. You like it. The third. That was a good one. I end on a good note. That's 3 in a row. You go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to now the third. Just call him the third. That's the nickname. Came from Paper Route. Jordan Love, the third. They should put that on the back of his jersey. You like it? Come on, be honest.
The only reason they won't make noise in the playoffs because
she likes it. You like it. B, you like it?
Nah, it's hard. I go with it.
Because y'all know I'm 50-50.
The third. Okay. But nah, like they're either gonna have to face the Eagles, the 49ers, or the Lions first round, right? So that's why they'll get knocked out early.
But do you think they make it?
No, they're gonna make it for sure.
Okay.
Like I believe in his consistency. I think he'll get better. The Rams playing ball too right now, but I think Jordan Love will hold them off. And they'll win some games.
Okay, someone in the chat says, I thought Ashley didn't like Jordan. She said she would date Jimmy G before Jordan Love. What does me thinking Jimmy G is hot have to do with anything? I wouldn't take him as my starting quarterback. Like, I think Jordan Love's a better quarterback. I just think Jimmy Garoppolo's handsome. What if the two the two can coexist? So don't come for me unless I send for you, sir. Moving on, we're going to talk some college football. B-Flow, this is right up your alley. Caleb Williams is bailing on USC bowl game, and the college community is up in arms about this. So projected 2024 NFL #1 overall draft pick Caleb Williams will not play in USC's bowl game. The Trojans play in the Holiday Bowl against Louisville. The reigning Heisman Trophy winner went a disappointing 7-5 this season with the Trojans. The question everybody is asking is, should we have a problem with Williams bailing on USC's final game? My answer, no. You know why? Because a lot of these bowl games are stupid. I said it, okay? They're stupid. And I'm tired of the college football community putting these ridiculous, irrelevant, just meaningless college bowl games on such a high pedestal that, God forbid, a top draft pick decides that his health and his longevity in the sport of football is more important than the Reese's peanut butter cups, Finding Nemo, Cracker Jack, prize in a box bowl game is more important than actually preserving that. It's not. Nobody cares. In hindsight, in reality, there are only a handful of bowl games that actually mean anything. And we're talking about the big ones, and you know what they are. If somebody does not want to play in the flip a coin bowl game, who cares? That's not going to lower his draft stock. We know what Caleb Williams is. We know who Caleb Williams is. Now, bowl games are beneficial to the guys who don't have that notoriety, who aren't going #1, who aren't going in the first round. It gives scouts, it gives teams the opportunities to give them a second glance at them. I get it. It's a decision that they should make if it's good for them, if it's bad for them. Some guys just want to rely on pro day. Some guys just want to rely on other means of getting what they're able to do on a professional level out there. Stop forcing these meaningless bowl games on players who don't need them. These are the same people who took forever to drag their feet to start paying players like they were actually bringing in revenue to the NCAA. Nobody cares about your little bowl game. If you want to play in it so badly and you want to hold it to such a high pedestal, you suit up and do it. He doesn't have to do it. Most players shouldn't have to do it. It's stupid. And I'm tired of this conversation.
What a lot of people don't like is that the college students are now making business decisions. They're used to them just saying, like, shut up, go play, run your head against the wall, do what your coach tell you, right? Now that they're making money, they're looking out for their future, they can't handle it. Like, we're in a new time right now. Last year, Anthony Richardson, Bijan Robinson, they didn't play in their bowl games. Why? Because they wasn't in the college playoffs. They wasn't playing for a national championship. Right. So what do you have to prove? If you're not in the college playoffs and you're a top 10 pick, I don't think you should play in a bowl game for the reasons that Ash said. Like, you have to look forward to your future. You don't think Caleb Williams just seen what happened to Jordan Travis at Florida State? If Caleb Williams goes out there and has a season-ending injury, like, he might not go number 1 overall.
Right.
Like it's possible,
Right.
right? So it's a business decision. I think it's a great decision that he made. If they're not in the college playoffs, go get ready for pro day. Go get ready to get drafted. You did everything you can for USC. You did everything you can for Oklahoma. Like the season is done. This is like a bowl game. This is not the actual season. He finished his season. This is extra. Like he gave everything he did that he could give to USC. So I love the decision he made.
And why are we surprised? Like think about all the things that they have said. His father, over the last year. If this team is in position, they draft us. We're not going. We're going to stay in. They want equity. They were looking for ownership. And the team that they go to, they standing on business. So I'm not surprised here. And this is one of the ones, where I support them. I stand with them on this one. It doesn't make any sense. Now, it does make sense for some players to go out there and play. Like if you feel like, a big bowl game can improve your draft stock or even get you on the board. If you're not there yet, you go do it. But once you're solidified, done. But I'll see y'all when y'all come back to Southern Cal.
We're talking about an organization, the NCAA, that last year in 2022 brought in over $1 billion.
Who?
The NCAA, as an organization, brought in over $1 billion. This is an organization that dragged their feet on paying student athletes that are responsible for contributing to that revenue, dragged their feet on compensating them in any way, shape, or form that they could, because the business decision only is beneficial and they only want it to be beneficial to them. And now, consistently, even now that we've gone ahead and passed the NIL, that makes it somewhat of an even playing field. And even that is debatable, because if you look at the money, it's drastically different. And I mean drastically different. They want to push this narrative that these bowl games are beneficial to the integrity of college football. No, they're not. They're beneficial to your pocket. They're beneficial to the betterment of the NCAA when it comes to how lucrative and beneficial the organization is. It has nothing to do with the players, because if Caleb Williams was to go out and play in that USC bowl game, which is absolutely meaningless when it comes to his draft stock, let's call a spade, and he gets hurt, you know who still gets paid from that bowl game? The NCAA. So players absolutely have the right to go ahead and dictate whether these bowl games, which again, 90% of them are meaningless if you are a top draft pick. 90% of them have no type of influence on where you're going to end up, how high your draft stock is, the second look. People know what you can do. They've been watching you all season. Stop forcing and putting these bowl games on a pedestal. We all know there's only 4, 5, maybe 6 bowl games that actually mean anything, and they're the bowl games that ultimately decide who goes to the national championship. The rest of them, if you want to play in them, cool. If you don't, stop forcing them. They mean nothing except to the NCAA, and I'm tired of them pushing it and trying to guilt these kids, these young men and women, when we talk about other sports, into playing these bowl games when they mean absolutely nothing. It's stupid. What they should be figuring out is how to better their ranking system when it comes to deciding who plays in the college football championship, because the committee clearly doesn't understand what the regular season means. B-Flow,
Before we go there, can I ask y'all a question? Mm-hmm. Is Offset and Cardi B really done?
I didn't even know they was on the rocks, bro.
I know. Before we go back to college football,
world.
Real quick, ask that Noah. Just stay with me. You didn't see the news?
I thought they were divorced.
They unfollowed each other.
Are they divorced?
No.
I never know. I didn't even know they got back together.
They unfollowed each other on Instagram.
I wouldn't know.
And then she posted. This is what she said. She said, "I'm tired of people being in their feelings. I'm about to be selfish."
Just DM and ask her, bro.
You like them as a couple? Well, you can't. You got to respect it because they married. Like, if they were dating, you can't really say that. You can't really speak on somebody's marriage like that.
I
don't even answer that.
I don't really care. I don't. Is that an answer? Can I get answer C?
Yeah, you can. You can.
Answer C is I don't care.
Little culture talk. B, you.
If they married, I want it to work.
You want it to work.
They made that vow, so make it work.
Right.
I like to see it work.
Okay.
Okay.
She's like, what are you doing? I was just scrolling through TMZ, searching for some sports, and then all of a sudden, bing, bing, bing.
I believe in divorce, sis. If you don't want to be with him anymore, move on. Like, that's
Ashley.
That ain't how it work, Ash.
What?
Ashley.
What do you think divorce is there
When
for?
you go down that aisle, can I get an invite?
Nah.
Can I get an invite?
Sure.
Okay. I'm holding you accountable. Once you say yes, till death do us.
I don't believe that. Sorry.
Ashley.
I don't.
So you're not supposed to say yes.
The only way you
I don't
can
believe that.
divorce is if he cheats or if he put his hands on you.
I don't. I believe that
That's
I'm somebody who believes if you've gone through every single possible available resource there is to save your marriage, I don't believe in staying in an unhappy relationship just because you're married.
So let's just say
That's what
everything
divorce.
is cool.
That's what divorce is there for.
Let's just say everything cool. You just fall out of love with him. You think you can just get divorced, or you should get divorced?
You want me to be? So I should be in a loveless marriage because we got married? If I don't,
Yeah.
if we're not in love, why are we staying married?
Love is conditional.
Yeah.
No. If we're not in love, I'm not saying if it changes, love changes form. But if I'm no longer in love with you, I'm not saying I have to like everything about you. People are annoying. Like, people change. But if I'm no longer in love with you, I need to stay in a loveless marriage because we took an oath.
You gotta fight.
Michelle Obama says she ain't like Barack for 10 years. And
But she was still in love with him. She wasn't. She said I
don't like.
No, I read her book. She said she didn't like him, but she was always in love with him. That's different. You don't always like your partner.
Yeah,
Sometimes they're annoying. But if I'm still in love with you,
in love, you gotta make sure she said in love. In love is
I read
different.
her
Yeah, that's two different
No,
things.
that's two. But she could have said, I didn't like him, but I loved him.
she said I was still in love with him, but I didn't like him when he was in the White House.
You
I
can't
read the
be
book.
in love. You can't be in love with someone who don't like nobody.
That's not true. You can go through phases where it's
Yes.
like, yo, I don't like you. You're annoying, but I still love you.
Yeah,
Like,
but
That's
in
love.
that's
Yeah, love and
That's
in
not
love is
in
two
love.
totally
she
different
said
things.
in her book, I loved him. I was still in love with him. I wanted to be married to him, but when he was in the
I'm
White
gonna
House,
fact
I
check.
didn't like him. He was annoying. Like, he was distant at times. Like, it was a phase.
Hell yeah, he's the president.
I understand, but
I'm pulling my hair
she
out.
was speaking on. She was speaking on her. She was speaking on her experience, but I don't think that a rough patch should dictate. Again, if you go through all the channels to save your marriage and you're unable to, I don't believe in staying in an unhappy relationship because you're married. That's what divorce is.
could've just been a rough patch.
So what is it going to take for you to say yes? Dude, get on his knee and for you to say yes. What do you got to come with? What are you looking for?
It's not. No, obviously.
I'm just asking. I'm just changing. Like, what are you looking for?
If I'm in a relationship that I feel is healthy and there's growth there and there's love there and there's friendship there, like, that's all the makings of a marriage. But
if he said he drops one knee and you're just in a relationship and it's going well and he says, "Will you marry me?" You gonna say yes?
If I feel that that's the person that I want to marry, not everyone that I've dated
That's
I
what I'm
wanted
saying.
to marry.
What's the requirement? What's the?
It's a long list of things. Like,
Give it to us. We got 3 minutes.
There's loyalty, there's honesty, there's romance, there's understanding, there's friendship, there's humor. There's a whole plethora of things. There's financial security, there's intellectual compatibility. Like, there's a whole list of things that would have to be.
So your mom and dad been married how long?
27 years, I want to say, 28 years.
Have you ever asked them what the key?
Communication is a big one. But my mom says all the time, like, she loves my dad, but there are times that he annoys the hell out of her, and vice versa. But it's not about
whose side do you take when they argue, or if they ever get into it.
My mom would say my dad's side because I'm a daddy's girl. But I feel like I'm a good, like, from the outside looking in, I'm good at, like, I don't pick sides. I'm just on the side of, like, what's right. You know what I mean? But my mom would say my dad if I spoke on her behalf. But I will say again, I don't believe in staying in unhappy relationships just because you took a vow. That's what divorce is there for. I feel like it's, especially if you have children, I feel like children want to be in happy environments, whether that means their parents are together or not. Like, nobody wants to be in a toxic, just uncomfortable environment. It's better for all parties involved if, like, you can't be together as a couple. Sometimes you're just better off as friends and co-parents, and that's okay too. It doesn't mean it was a failure. It just means it didn't work.
I'm like grilling Ashley. It's like one-on-one. Are you ready for marriage? Like, do you think you're ready? Like, do you think, like, because we can always look for the other person and say, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that, but are you ready? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking to everybody out there. So my question to you is, like, why not?
Am I ready right now, like at 30? No.
Why?
I I feel like I'm too selfish right now at this stage in my life to be somebody's wife. I could be somebody's girlfriend because I feel like your responsibilities are different when you're a girlfriend than you are when you're a wife.
That's honest.
And I'm
That's
just
dope
not.
that you know that, though.
Yeah, I'm
That's
just not.
honest.
There's too
Yeah.
many things that I have that I want to accomplish like on myself, and there's too many. And I enjoy my free time and I enjoy my alone time. And I feel like when you're married, there's a lot of compromises and things that you can't, that you have to make. And I can't be selfish when it's now not just about me. So I don't feel like I would be a good wife right now. I'd be an amazing girlfriend.
Jimmy G wife you up before putting the ring on it, and then he drop on a knee. And
I would be an amazing girlfriend right now because I feel like my responsibilities would not be the same as a wife. And I'm also a firm believer, like, if I'm dating someone, I don't want to see them all the time. Like, no, it's like, I know it sounds bad, but for me, like, if I'm dating someone, like, say we live in the same city, like the same space.
Nah, I feel you.
Like 2 to 3 times a week is good for me.
Nah,
like,
I feel you.
I
I'm the
don't,
same way.
Yeah.
Like, don't be all up under me.
Like, if we like
every day,
No. We could communicate like with each other, like
I feel you.
text,
Nah, I
FaceTime,
feel you.
but being in your space,
Yeah.
nah, I'm cool. Like, 2
I
to
feel you
3 times
100%.
a week is straight. Unless we're going on a vacation, and that's different. And then you in my face every day. But other than that, like, I'm cool 2 to 3 times a week. Like, that's kind of
That's crazy. 2 to 3. That's it. So you'll be good with 2, but or the show's over. I'm like,
yeah, 2 to 3
that's
times
wild.
a week works for me. Listen, guys, this has been Paper Route. We are on 4 days a week. So tomorrow we will see you. It is Hump Day, and we'll be back in studio talking all things NBA, college
And
football, relationships, and everything in between. Until then, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.